Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio? Yes? Boy, you're right on that. Thank you. This is Marilyn, and um, it's noontime on the 20th of November, and this is Welcome to My World, where you get my view, which is um, just strictly that. This is just I kind of go over what I see. I'll go over crude oil this morning, and then we'll take a look at TF because it had some nice trades. The all the indices markets went up a little bit, and then they went into a chop. TF had a bigger move, and interestingly, the YM had a nice move this morning too. And I know some people in here trade that. It's a that's a great market. And if you're new to futures and looking for something to trade, I don't recommend you start with crude oil and gold because you'll likely have a bad experience until you kind of get the hang of how you put your orders in and how you read things. And if you do trade crude and gold, I strongly recommend that you trade it in demo for a while until you really have some confidence with it and have your own system work out till you're comfortable. This morning, crude oil had another one of these nice runs from, the wee hours of the morning when most of us are not trading, but we do have some people from Europe who are trading in this room. And if you are not aware, this room is open 24 hours a day. It reboots about, I think, around 4:30 or 5 Eastern time. But the rest of the time, I think it's down for just a very few minutes while they reboot it. It's 5:30, 5:30-ish, Lori says. So if you try to log on right at 5:30, between 5:30 and say 5:45, and you don't get in, just give it a few minutes till it's done its thing. But anyway, for those of you who are watching this, you could have taken this from settlement down. That's a very safe trade and a safe bet when it's been above settlement and it starts to go through settlement. And I know there's been a lot of interest this afternoon. I think it's at 3:30. Daryl is going to do a little webinar on clarifying some of the entries off of this sharpshooter. But for example, if by the time you got up and were thinking from whatever your charting system is that this might make a good downtrend if it came on through, look at this. It put up the MVP, the trend catcher, everything turned red, stayed red, and went on down to the red ice, at least. So that was a really good trade that was available to us. Notice how much volume was right in here between the green and the red ice. That's a super way to trade. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is the value of this chart and having it up. I think from now on I'll have one of these up on everything I trade because you can tell in a heartbeat if you want to get in this market or not. And when you see all these yellow choppy, I think on the template, that my template is this exact chart, and it's in your templates. The master template that Daryl put in there, these are orange candles and blended with the red. It's a little bit more difficult, I think, to read. So I made mine yellow. But anyway, but learning how to use this will be well worth your while, because again, we got this right here. This was at 940, and if you look at this horror, if you were trying to trade this right in here, this is a nightmare to try and trade. And watch the deviation. We've never had a lot of mountain building here, but if you look through all this, where was the volume? At no time in this whole thing did volume exceed. Do we have exceeding volume? And this is what I call bad guy country in here. You can see this. Don't ever try to trade in this. You will have a very bad experience doing that. So with between having no volume, the deviation indicator, and our sharpshooter chart telling us absolutely stay out of that market. Just go do something else. Go do something else. Find something else. You want to take the easy stuff, the really easy stuff. So, and I know there's been a discussion in here of power lines. We used to use these power lines. This power line must have come off of this P. Now, I can't remember where we got this line, but anyway, all this stuff, once you have the rules that are in that the educational course that's on the website of, it's called Elite Apex /MVP. Once you've completed that, you've got the real meat and potatoes. The rest of this then is fine-tuning to your personal style and what markets you want to trade, and a few things like that. I've got a 12-tick chart over here on TF, and it had some nice trades. It fooled around. I don't usually like to take these real early in the morning. Somebody did. Somebody took this right. It was right off of this, I believe. Maybe it was earlier, but anyway, they took it for a 15-tick scalp. It was very successful. Lori says to take the first one of these in a trend. Don't count the one after an E, but after that, the first one in a trend. But you can see from the proximity of this EMA way out here, this thing just continued on and on. And if you had a 30-minute candle chart like this, this would also have given you a good guide. And the proximity right here from your MVP, a lot of people trail with this MVP, but once you get up to the deviation, then you really do want to tighten up your stops and protect your profit. But if you were doing that and pretty confident, there's a magnet right here, and then there's this other deviation, and it did go up and touch that deviation. And then you got another E, so that's a good trade up from there, right up to the next magnet. Those are volume magnets and almost to the next deviation, but this is a one deviation. And what do we know about a one deviation? That 70% of the movement in that market has been reached historically at the one deviation. It doesn't mean it won't blow through it. I've seen it blow on to the 2, and on a rare occasion the 3, but that is why it's a rare occasion, because when you get to the one deviation, it's made 70% of the move that it's likely to make. So anyway, those two markets had a nice trade. If you were watching the Canadian dollar this morning, the Canadian news was a little bit mixed, and that market went, first it went down, and then it ran up, and then it turned around and whipped down. So there was a lot of volatility in that, but they were good moves. So if you were trading that, you should have had some really nice trades off of it. The VIX is backing off a little bit. It's right now trading 1572. And this afternoon, it's difficult to predict the future, which is why I have no operating crystal balls. But it is the third Friday of the month, which is option expiration. Most option traders were out and rolled or whatever they're doing Wednesday or Thursday, but there's always some diehards, and they're repositioning money on Friday. But by Friday afternoon of the third Friday, likely not too much. So let me see, we've got a couple of questions in here. How can I see? Oh, Jacob, if you can't see my charts and where I'm pointing, you'll have to mouse over your HotCom icon, and that's where you see all the charts that have been minimized so they're not in your face all the time. And you can click on that and mine will pop up. Click on the whichever ones you want to see at any time. I know Lori posts a bunch of charts in the cloud that have the rules for the strategy that go to that right posted with that. The power line is coming. The power lines are old Apex strategy. If you back in the beginning, before we had all this wonderful stuff, the power lines will form just, this is a great example right here off of the A, well, that's the ice, but they'll form off of the P's and the A's. And before we had all these indicators, we used to use those for trailing stops. But they're very good to know about because they can also be, if they're broken, it can be an indication that the market is about to change the trend. I think if you go back and review where Daryl goes through the use of the apex pattern in detail, that might become a little more clear to you. And no, not all the P's are going to have them, and not all A's. He does a whole video on how that works. And somebody, Triple D, I think you can't hear me, so I don't know why I'm talking if you can't hear me. But for anybody else, and I'll let him know, these are recorded almost every day, and we can all thank Tony for doing that. He does a wonderful support job for Apex. He's kind of one of the silent people you never ever hear from or see, that does all kinds of things in the background. So a big thank you to Tony for recording this and posting this. If you go to the website and put my world in the search, I don't know when those are posted, but they are posted there. That'll take you to them. The other thing you can do is go to YouTube and subscribe to Apex, and then you'll get an email every time a video is uploaded, whether it's a webinar or one of these little things or whatever. So I hope that takes care of that. Brent has moved a little bit, and crude oil has, but it's been difficult to trade this today. It just did not give us as many trades. This right here on this 6 tick, this is one of these Lori elevators. It's it's the start of a trend, and then you get, you know, the mismatched candle right here with this makes like an elevator cage, and then it takes off. But this was pushing right off of one of these buy zones on the 6 tick, and where did it go? Right to the top of the sell zone. These are extremely valuable indicators. It's a matter of finding the markets you like and then getting your eye developed to notice these. And the only way I found that I could do it was to go back every single day and mark my charts every single day. So with that, I'll wrap this up, and I'll come back at 2:30, and we'll see about the afternoon, and then get ready for next week. So this has been my view, and in my world at Apex Land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you at noon. Thanks.